This year's Halloween of the Young and the Restless Tuesday, November 5th, is marked by the haunting return of the character Heather Stevens, played by Vale Bloom, in a version that is equally as terrifying and tragic. When Heather's ghost appears, all viewers feel the horror that Sharon Newman has to go through. Heather does not simply return but also brings a terrible curse. She vows to haunt Sharon, make her confess her role in her death, and plots to blame Daniel Romalotti Jr., who was Heather's love. On Halloween night, Sharon begins to notice strange signs. The lights suddenly go out, mysterious laughter echoes, and especially the ghostly appearance of Heather. Heather does not give Sharon any peaceful moments. Each of her reproaches is like a dagger in Sharon's soul, forcing her to recognize and face the truth. Heather has declared that she will not let Sharon go, determined to make her pay for what she has done. Sharon's mental state is increasingly pushed to the brink of the abyss. While everyone in Genoa City is excitedly preparing for Halloween, Sharon is falling into a state of turmoil due to the mental pressure from Heather and the sins she has hidden. The presence of Cameron Kirsten in Sharon's life is not much help either. Now, Nick is the only one who can comfort and keep Sharon from falling into a state of extreme panic, but he cannot stop Heather, the vengeful ghost, from trying to force Sharon to confess her sins. On Halloween night, while Sharon is driving, a sudden hallucination appears that makes her lose focus. Heather appears in the rearview mirror, her cold eyes seeming to penetrate Sharon. Sharon is startled, loses control of the steering wheel, and in that moment, everything becomes blurry. Sharon's mind is overwhelmed by Heather's whispers and haunting images. In that terrifying moment, Sharon almost crashes into a group of children who are parading down the street, but luckily she manages to stop in time. The sudden stop makes Sharon realize the danger of continuing to live in this obsession, not only for herself but for everyone around her. Phyllis's return and the fateful restraining order. In addition to Heather's ghost, Sharon also has to face Phyllis Summers, the only person who knows the truth about her crimes. Phyllis is determined to bring Sharon to justice, and will not miss any opportunity to pressure her. Phyllis's intervention is nothing more than adding fuel to the fire, making Sharon even more panicked. Sharon once considered getting a restraining order against Phyllis to protect herself from the constant questioning and force Phyllis to stay silent forever. For Sharon, this restraining order is not just a temporary solution but also the only way to keep the dark secrets of the past hidden. She is willing to do anything, including legal means, to remove Phyllis and Daniel from her life, to prevent the truth from being revealed. Sharon understands that everything she does is only to protect herself and the life she has tried to maintain. But being haunted by Heather's ghost and Phyllis's threatening presence has pushed Sharon into an unstable mental state. When she decides to file for a restraining order, Sharon no longer cares about the consequences, and only wants a life free from the threat of the past. But can that help her escape Heather's ghost and Phyllis' relentless pursuit? Heather's perseverance, the truth cannot be hidden. Despite trying to bury all her sins, Sharon still cannot escape her crimes. Heather, with deep resentment, vows not to let Sharon go until she pays for what she has done. The more Sharon struggles against Heather's ghost, the more she realizes that this apparition is more than just an illusion. It is her conscience speaking up, reminding her of the sins she cannot hide forever. Heather is not a spirit to be conquered. She represents truth and justice, and she will not stop until the truth is revealed. Halloween is a night of horror, and for Sharon, it is a time when long-hidden secrets begin to surface. Heather's ghost is not just a supernatural event, but also a warning to Sharon of an inevitable end. Sharon can deal with Phyllis, she can use legal means to remove those who stand in her way, but she cannot escape her own conscience. On The Young and the Restless, Sharon Newman's story is a reminder of the consequences of crime and deception. As she is confronted with hauntings and ghosts from her past, she is forced to choose between facing the truth or continuing to hide. This Halloween, viewers can witness a Sharon facing herself, and the question is whether she has the courage to confess everything, or will she continue to be haunted by the ghosts of her past mistakes. In the dark and mysterious setting of Genoa City, Sharon Newman faces a terrifying ordeal as her secrets and crimes threaten to be exposed. Phyllis Summers, the only person who knows Sharon is guilty, relentlessly pursues her to bring her to justice. But Phyllis is not Sharon's only enemy. The ghost of Heather Stevens seems to have returned from the dead, haunting her and forcing her to confess. Sharon is caught between two fronts, her own psychological obsessions and Phyllis' relentless attacks. Sharon, with her devious and increasingly unstable personality, decides to confront Phyllis with a ruthless tactic. She plans to get a restraining order against Phyllis, hoping to silence her forever. With this restraining order, Sharon hopes to eliminate anyone who could threaten to reveal the dark truth of her past. But Sharon knew that Phyllis was stubborn and not easily intimidated, which made Sharon worry that Phyllis might put her life in more danger than ever. Daniel was also in a dilemma. As Lucy's father, he knew the danger his daughter would face if she were near Sharon. In order to protect his daughter, Daniel was forced to take Lucy away from Genoa City with her grandfather, away from the chaos. But the distance did not comfort him, but instead, a feeling of helplessness invaded Daniel's mind. He longed to promise his daughter that he would always be there, but things were too complicated for him to guarantee that. Sharon's mind was pushed to the brink of chaos, and every time she saw Phyllis or Daniel, she felt an invisible threat. She felt so cornered that she was forced to consider cruel measures. A fleeting thought made her consider hitting Phyllis or Daniel, trying to eliminate the people who were threatening her safety. Sharon even shared with Nick that Phyllis was the source of all her unhappiness, and she needed to do something to end this situation. As things became more and more difficult, Sharon felt the ghost of Heather more and more clearly in her mind. Heather was like a reminder of her dark past and the pain that Sharon had caused. Heather's ghost urged Sharon not only to remember her sins but also encouraged her to do whatever was necessary to protect herself. Sharon wondered, was this just a hallucination or had Heather really come back to make her pay? Under the influence of the haunting, Sharon began to think about creating a fake situation for Phyllis to have an accident, or finding a way to mislead the police into thinking that Phyllis was the culprit. She considers pretending to see something dangerous, blaming Phyllis and turning all the attention to her. Sharon realizes that this might temporarily remove her from the dangerous situation and stop Phyllis from threatening to reveal her secret. Sharon sinks deeper and deeper into a state of mental confusion, to the point where she can no longer distinguish between reality and fantasy. Her mind is clouded by constant voices, and whenever she sees Phyllis or Daniel, she sees Heather's ghost, urging her to act. Although she cannot face the truth, Sharon knows that if she continues to hide, she will be exposed. At a crossroads between confessing her sins and trying to protect her secret, Sharon feels she has no way back. Sharon's promise of a peaceful life is shattered as she falls into a spiral of traps and lies. The ghosts in her mind become more pressing, and Phyllis watches her every move. Sharon knew that every wrong step could lead her to an unforeseeable end, one that would cost her her freedom and her reputation. No matter how hard Sharon tried to hide her guilt, her mind was never at peace. Heather's ghost kept appearing, haunting her at unexpected times. Heather seemed to exist at every moment, demanding that Sharon face the truth. Sharon seemed to see Heather's ghost in her rearview mirror, standing still and silent, but her eyes seemed to demand that she pay. One dark night, Sharon was driving out of control. She felt as if Heather was sitting in the back seat, whispering words of reproach. For a moment, Sharon lost focus and crashed the car into a rock on the side of the road, but luckily escaped death. She looked around, saw no one, but Heather's haunting became more intense in her mind. Sharon begins to believe that she cannot escape her guilt and that Heather will not stop haunting her until everything is brought to light. The confrontation between Sharon and Phyllis is nearing its end, and Genoa City becomes a place of dark intrigue. Sharon is at a dangerous crossroads, one side confessing her guilt or the other continuing a dangerous game that could cost her everything. Will Sharon have the courage to face the ghosts of her past, or will she sink deeper into lies and intrigue?